Brought to you by ExpressCare Health and Skin Center. Get in, get out, get better.
Welcome back to Healthy Living. Iron is a mineral needed by our bodies. It plays an incredibly important role, and many people either have too much or too little of it. ExpressCare's Dr. Jitka Lom joins us now in studio to tell us more about it. So thanks, Doc, for coming in.
Thank you.
So tell us, what exactly is iron used for in our bodies?
So iron, it makes up is a portion of our heme, which is found in hemoglobin. Hemoglobin captures oxygen and takes it around our body. So it's basically involved in the carrying capacity of our body to bring oxygen everywhere.
Okay, and so where does it come from?
Well, you know, if you look around our island, you'll see a lot of red earth, and there's iron in our earth. And then it goes into the plants, and then it's eaten by animals, and animals are our main source of iron. Meat. Liver is a great source of iron. Spinach is another great source of iron. Leafy green vegetables. And if you cook with cast iron pots, meaning those very, very heavy ones, you can actually absorb iron from your skillet. But most of us get it from meat.
Okay, and so what causes iron deficiency?
Well, iron deficiency can occur in a very unusual, let's say, vegetarian diet, where people aren't eating any meat and not taking any supplements. But most of the time, iron deficiency occurs because people are losing blood. Women tend to become anemic because of their monthly menstruation, very heavy bleeding, not eating enough iron, and they'll become anemic. Or people who are losing blood for another reason. For example, if they've got a stomach ulcer or colon cancer, they can lose little tiny bits of blood at a time until they become anemic.
Okay, and so how would somebody know if they're anemic? What are some of the symptoms that they experience?
Okay, well, the main one that they would experience is fatigue, because again, the iron is in hemoglobin, and that's used to carry oxygen around. So if you're not getting oxygen, you start to feel very tired, short of breath, and weak. Another thing that you might notice with an anemic person is that they're very pale. Their hair becomes coarse. It's a common cause of hair loss in women. And an unusual symptom that people may have when they're anemic is that they may have hoarseness and actual webs in their throat, where if people look down with a scope, they can see some unusual formations there.
Oh,
because of anemia, yes.
Okay, and so we also talked about some people can have too much of it. Yes. What is that called, and how do you have too much iron?
How
is
do you
it
have
from
too
eating
much?
Too much stuff with iron, or?
In a way. So our body is always miraculously creating balance, and that is something that we inherit, the ability for our body to know exactly how much iron we need. If we eat lots and lots of steak, we're still going to be okay because we'll just eliminate the waste iron that we don't need. But some people store too much, and it's actually very common on Guam to have excess iron storage, iron overload, or iron storage disease, or a medical term for it is hemochromatosis. And this is a disease that genetically results in the person storing too much iron in their tissue. Where do they store it? They store it in their liver, in their pancreas, in their heart, in their brain, and also in their skin. And they basically have heavy metal poisoning from iron overload. And this is a common reversible cause of diabetes. And it's very interesting to know that of world populations, different races, Pacific Islanders and Asians have the highest incidence of this disease in the world. So it's very important, if you are a newly diagnosed diabetic, that you have your iron level checked.
And how does somebody get their iron levels checked?
It's so simple. Just with a blood test, we check first your complete blood count to see what is your hemoglobin, and then we also check something called ferritin, which is the stored iron that's generally deposited in your liver.
Okay. Going back to the anemia that you were talking about, what iron deficiency anemia, so you mentioned fatigue and different things like that. Is there a way to prevent it, or?
Yes, if you have heavy periods as a woman, you might take an iron supplement. Iron supplements are small red tablets that you can purchase at the pharmacy. The ones that you get in vitamin shops are often not very strong, so it's important to get your iron supplementation at a pharmacy. It comes in ferrous sulfate or ferrous gluconate, small red tablets. Again, the red. And you can take them once a day up to 3 times a day. They do tend to cause some constipation. They tend to cause some nausea. So you start slowly and build up. and have your blood checked periodically to make sure you're all right.
Now, how much iron should somebody have a day? I mean, I'm not one of those people that really looks too much,
Right.
and so I try to eat healthy. But how do you know what a good gauge is, or how much of the supplement should you take?
Well, it's a little challenging because it's going to depend on each individual person and how well they store their iron, and also how much they eliminate if they're bleeding for some reason, especially young women. So how much you have or how much you need to take is very individual. If you don't eat meat as a vegetarian, you definitely should be taking an iron supplement. If you do eat meat and you're menstruating, you should have an occasional, every year or two, blood test to make sure your iron levels are okay, and they do this definitely during pregnancy. And if you're a man or an older woman, then having a blood test again once every 5 years or so will help you to know whether your iron levels are okay.
Okay, great. Well, we will pick up our discussion on iron when Healthy Living returns. Please stay with us.